Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. So today I want to do a guide on getting started with the hobby with 9th edition. Now this will apply to mostly new people getting into the hobby, but also people who are actually in the hobby as well. These are like tips and guides and stuff that I've personally picked up since I started my journey with the model aspect when 8th edition dropped. So hopefully this can help you, motivate you, get you into the spirit of picking your army, doing the hobbying, the rules, and the actual gaming, everything that's involved with Warhammer 40,000. I've broken the video up into 5 parts. Part 1 is going to be choosing an army that's right for you. Part 2 is purchasing the models in the correct way. Part 3 is going to be the hobbying aspect of it. Part 4 is going to be the rules aspect. And Part 5 is actually getting out there and gaming. So let's start with Part 1 of the video, choosing an army that's right for you. This is probably one of the biggest decisions you will actually make when getting into the hobby, starting an army with 9th edition. Now, when you look at Warhammer 40,000, there is plenty of armies to choose from. You have like the big factors, which are Imperium, Chaos, and Xenos. Now, within the Imperium, Chaos, and Xenos, it's broken down into sub-factions and sub-factions of actually them. So in the Imperium, you basically have like the Space Marines, the Adeptus Custodes, the Ad Mechanicus, the Imperial Guard, and within them, then you have like Space Marine chapters like the Imperial Fist, the Ultramarines, the Raven Guard. This applies to like Chaos with like its demons, and then you have Nurgly demons, you have Khorne demons, you have Chaos Space Marines that align to the different Chaos gods. When it comes to the Xenos, you have the Necrons, the Eldar, the Dark Eldar, the Tau, and again within them they have their sub-factions as well. So when you look at it, it can be very, very daunting to actually pick a proper playable army. My advice on this is always go with something that you absolutely love, something that you connect to with the lore. Don't go for meta armies. My saying is that meta always changes and love is forever. At the moment, the Space Marines are the top dogs, but in a couple of months, that will change around. You probably have Admech, Necrons, Orcs. It's constantly like a tennis match, back and forth, back and forth. Sometimes you are at the top, sometimes you are at the bottom, but it's that love for your army, that connection to your army that drives you and motivates you, and we'll actually talk a little bit more about that when we get to part 3 of the video, which is the hobbying section. Now, one of the easiest ways to really find the connection that you're looking for when it comes to picking an army is actually just picking up the rule book itself. In 8th edition, and this will apply to 9th edition as well, it has a brief introduction of every army that is involved in the Warhammer 40,000 tabletop. I would always recommend to people to just go in and read about those armies. You can read about the Imperial Guard, you can read about the Space Marines, the Tyranids, the Necrons, and if something catches your eye, you can then go out and further your interest in that faction. What I mean by that is, you can go out, you can buy the codex, which is packed full of information that'll break down all the different regiments, chapters, chaos demons, characters, everything like that. You have the internet at your disposal as well. You can go onto wikis, you can go onto the Black Library website, you can buy books that feature your faction. We are blessed as Warhammer 40,000 fans to have a huge catalogue of 40k lore and stories at our disposal, and that is really for me where one of my main attachments to the Space Marine comes from. It's from the lore, from the stories that these awesome authors create. And once you choose that faction, then once you have that faction that you're connected to, trust me, you will represent that until you're blue in the face. Me as an Imperial Fist, the amount of hate I get from like Iron Warriors, even other loyalist factions like the Ultramarines, Blood Angels, Space Wolves, there's so much fun, there's so much banter involved. You really get to love your faction a little bit more, and then you can go out there and you can start saying, yes, my faction is better than your faction, and you can start labeling all the reasons why and stuff like that. It really is a fantastic thing to connect to a faction that you absolutely love. Now let's move on to part 2 of the video, is purchasing the correct way. Now this is broken down into a couple of bits. It's actually buying the models and also buying what models you actually want for your army. So let's start off with actually purchasing. Now a lot of people always come to me and say, GW is this price, GW is that price, and I get that. A lot of people don't really have that much to spend on the hobby, but GW is not always the person to go to buy your products. There's a number of different options for you to get products at a cheaper option. Now, first thing is your friendly local gaming stores. For me, I'm lucky to have Element Games, which is literally a 10-minute drive down the road for me. They offer like up to 20% off on certain 40k products. That includes starter box sets themselves, you know, character models, everything like that. But it doesn't really have to be a friendly local gaming store. You can go on eBay, you can go on Facebook. Facebook has a huge community of trading and swap groups, but the only thing you really have to be aware about when you go to places like eBay or Facebook is that always buy with PayPal with buyer protection, because I'm sorry to say that there is some people out there that will try and take advantage of you, and you need to protect yourself as much as possible. For me personally, I've actually had success when it comes to Facebook trading and for eBay. I've actually bought some fantastic deals when it comes to Space Marines that are like 50% off the actual retail price. So it's just going out there and finding the great deal that is for you. Just take your time. There's no rush in actually buying these models at all. If you start this week or next week, it's not going to put you in first or second or anything like that. Just take your time, relax, and just have a nice little browse on what you actually want. What Games Workshop do to get people actually into the hobby is that they make box sets and they make starter sets. Now, what a box set is normally that features 2 armies. So the 9th edition box set, or should I call it a launch set, because we don't actually have a starter set at this moment in time of recording, will feature both Necrons and Space Marines. Now, a starter set is a smaller box that will just feature 1 army in there to start you with that faction that you have chosen. So the Space Marine starter set for now, I think, is the Phobos one that has some Phobos Marines. It has a Phobos Librarian in there, Lieutenant, a Captain, if I'm not mistaken. And, you know, if you look at like the AdMech one, it has like a Tech Priest and some other things in there. Some things have bigger things like tanks and everything like that. So it all depends, right, really what faction you're actually picking and what kind of stuff they actually give you. Now, going back to the box set, I personally think that this is one of the best ways to actually jump into the hobby, because you get 2 armies in Start Edition box sets. With 8th edition, we had something called the Dark Imperium starter box set, which had Death Guard and the newly Primaris when they were first announced. Now, the great thing about this is that you can actually split this with a friend. So when it comes to monetary saving, you're actually splitting that box set in half. You know, he gets half of it, you get half of it. You could probably argue like who pays a little bit more for the actual rule book in there, because all these new starter box sets actually come with the new edition rule book and everything like that. But I would always say to people that if you actually are starting into the hobby, always jump in with the starter box sets, because that is where you get the most bang for your buck. But I understand that's not everyone's cup of tea. So this is why GW makes separate box sets for everyone. So if you go to like your friendly local gaming store, I'm sure they'll have all the box sets out. If you go over to like Element Games and stuff and search Space Marines, you can see like the Captain who's sold separately, Lieutenant sold separately, Intercessors, Repulsor tanks, Executioner tanks. You can go in and just buy your stuff separate and make the army that you actually want. Just to finish off this section, one of the most important things, again, once you come to buy an army, is just taking your time. Just research what you actually want in your army. Do you want this tank? Is this tank going to be good for your faction? Is it going to be good for your sub-faction? Will it blend in and mix with your playstyle? Take your time and research, because the last thing you want to be doing is buying something that doesn't fit you, and you're going to be wasting your money on something that you'll never play with. Now, moving on to part 3, and this is hobbying. Now, this is where most people actually fall down and they never recover or get back into 40k. And I understand why, because the hobbying aspect of Warhammer 40,000 can be a daunting task. From my personal experience, I've been where I've just absolutely chucked an army, not really like literally in the bin, but just put it to one side, because I just didn't have that motivation to keep going. I looked at my models and they were like, you know, they're not pretty, they're not nice, why am I even doing this? But it was getting back into that headspace of pushing yourself forward and just saying, you know what, I can achieve something that looks good, I just have to push myself, I have to research how to do this properly. And that leads into the next statement, is actually doing it properly. I always just used to jump in and think, you know what, I know best, I'll do this and do that, and it didn't turn out the way it did. I cannot emphasize enough, before you even touch a paintbrush to your model, please, please, please look at guides. Go out and look for inspiration. YouTube has a vast amount of channels. The Warhammer main channel itself has some fantastic, easy to follow guides which they show you the paints. But there's other channels out there that have amazing painters which will give you little tips and tricks how to better not only your painting but how to better your hobby as well. When it comes to the actual hobby, have the correct tools. You know, have your cutters, have your hobby knife and stuff like that. Because there's nothing worse than coming to like cut out your your models, stick your models, and that's another big thing as well. Choosing the right amounts of glue, plastic glue, super glue, having the right amount of tools on your desk for your project is a massive part of the hobbying aspect. For me, actually sticking the models together, kit bashing, making your models look like absolute badasses is probably one of the most funniest things you'll actually do in the hobby. So enjoy it. Go out there, like I said, look at other people's armies, get that inspiration. It's like, wow, that looks really, really cool with that power fist. That guy looks really awesome with that helmet and a purity seal there. Go out there, look at other stuff, ask people. That is one of the biggest things out there, is that ask people, you know, if you're actually stuck with something, just go out and say, hey, excuse me guys, you know, I'm stuck with here. Again, Facebook, social media, Twitter, and there's some fantastic websites that's out there, Bolter and Chainsaw and stuff. They have a huge hobby section. Go there, post threads, you know, ask people for advice, and people are always there to help you out. As a Warhammer 40,000 community, we have one of the best communities when it comes to people helping each other out. People will give you advice, tips, you know, how to better yourself, everything like that. Don't be afraid to ask. Now, when it comes to actually painting your first model, one of the main things I would always say is that first, do a test model. Always do a test model to see if the paint scheme that you're actually doing actually fits. The worst thing you can do is go out and spray 10 guys with like gold, and then you get in and you add another color to it and you go, oh my god, I sprayed all these guys as gold and this color doesn't really go and I don't really like this model anymore. But then you've got like a huge backlog of models that are all like base this color. So always go out and do a little test model first, experiment, try new things. You know, that is one of the cool things is, like, some of the stuff on my desk now is that I just sit here and I just paint just to try like new color schemes and everything like that. If it goes, it goes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's just one of them things. Just take your time, test yourself, and always do a bloody test model. And also, when you paint, this is a massive talking point as well. Don't be put off by your painting skills. At the start, when I first started to paint, I was terrible. I still see myself as tabletop standard. I'll be completely honest with you. You know, when you look at like the box art of GW and you see these models painted this magnificent way, there's only a few people that would be able to achieve that. You will be able to achieve it if you put the time and effort in. You can go out there and look at people's first models to the models that they do now. Practice makes perfect, but just don't be put off that on your first attempt your stuff is not like the GW standard. Those chaps who are painting that stuff are some of the best painters in the world. That's why their stuff is on this box set. It's to sell the product. They are amazing painters, but you'll get there one day. All you have to do is look at tutorials, take your time, and just enjoy yourself. There's also one more thing to discuss on the hobby section, and this happens to everyone. It's happened to me, and it's burnout. How do you handle with hobby burnout? What that is basically when you start painting so much, you'll get to a point where you think to yourself, oh my god, I just don't want to do this today. And then you put the model to one side. That day becomes a week. That week becomes a month. That month becomes a year. You know, we've all experienced it. And this is why it's so important to actually pick an army that you absolutely love. I always say this to people. When you go in this like little hobby low, that love for your army will push you over that hill. You say to yourself, do you know what? No, I want to finish this model because I love the Imperial Fist. I love the Ultramarines. I love the Blood Angels. I want to represent my boys on the tabletop. If you pick an army just for the meta and stuff like that, you think to yourself, oh, you know, the meta's not really there anymore. You know, who cares about this model, let's say. You know, just put it on the shelf and it's never really done. But if you have that love, if you've had that inspiration for the army that you've chosen, it will always push you forward and make your hobby projects be finished. Just to end this part of the video, really, chaps, just take your time, enjoy yourself, don't rush. Really, again, don't rush. Just watch the tutorials, get the inspiration, and just go slowly. Slow is steady and steady is fast. That is the motto I always use when I come to painting and purging and everything like that. So yes, just enjoy yourself and take your time. Right, moving on to part 5, which is the rules. Oh boy, the big old rule stuff. Now, I've got to say, I am not the most knowledgeable person on the rules, and that's okay. That is the massive thing. When I was getting into 8th edition and stuff, I was so worried about the rule aspect. Like, oh my god, I don't know the rules. If I turn up to a game, this guy is going to be like, oh, you don't, what? No, that's this, that's that, that's this, you know. And I was scared, like, oh my god, he's got to call me out if I get something, you know, wrong. You know, I'm going to embarrass myself. It's really okay if you don't know the rules. I have been playing 8th edition since it bloody came out, and I still don't understand certain aspects of the rules. I only really focus focus on Space Marines, so I know my Space Marine stuff. But if a guy turned up with an Eldar army, I don't expect to know like all this Eldar stuff on there. I would expect someone else to know all my Space Marine stuff. He's like an Eldar player. This is why when you come to do like gaming, which we'll get into in part 5 of the stuff, it's finding the right group of people which you can enjoy the experience with, get into it, and learn the rules together. Learning comes with time. It really, really does. Again, like I just stated, I'm still like, well, I won't call myself a veteran of 8th edition, but there's still things in like 8th edition which I've been playing since the start that I really don't know about, that I'm still confused about. It's all right if you make a mistake. It really, really is. You know, if you need something clarifying, ask. You know, if a guy says, you know, this weapon does this, and you're like, what does it do again? Can you just clarify what it actually does? Ask the questions to the people that you're actually playing with. Ask your friends, what does this rule do? What does this gun do? You know, how does it affect such and such, everything like that. Just ask around. Again, if you don't really have like anyone close to you to ask, go on the social media stuff. Go on Facebook, go on Twitter. Warhammer TV over and Twitch at the moment have a hobby clinic channel and stuff like that. I probably should have mentioned this in like in the hobbying part of the video, but they'll give you tips on hobbying. They're also like clear up rules for you and everything like that. We're actually really lucky that most of the Warhammer community team is actually on social media. Most of like the rules writers as well. So if you actually have a problem with rules, maybe if you tweet them and something, they'll be lucky enough to respond to you, say, no, this does this because of this and stuff like that. So this is a way to really clarify things and learn the rules as you go along. Now, moving on to the last part of the video, which is the gaming aspect. And again, this could be an absolutely daunting task for a lot of people. Now, when it comes to actually gaming, you can do this a million different ways. So the most logical one is just meeting up with a friend. Maybe you split the box up with your friend and you actually just want to play with him. I've always said that any surface is a battlefield when it comes to Warhammer 40,000. So if you've got like a dining room table, if you've got like a kitchen top or anything like that, just put your models on there, get some cups, get some pentles as cover or anything like that, and just start throwing dice and just start smashing and purging with a friend. One of the most scariest things is socially going out and actually gaming with people that you don't know. Like when I started in 8th edition, like the friends I had online were just social media friends. I've never met them before in my life. So actually when I went down to meet them in real life and throwing dice, I was actually very, very nervous. I was very scared to actually do something, because like going back to like the rule stuff we talked about, I thought to myself, what if I like throw some dice and I don't really know what I'm doing? What if I make a mistake? I'm going to embarrass myself. I'm going to make myself look like an idiot. But trust me, once you throw those dice for the first time and you start moving your models up, you start, you know, purging enemies, the hobby really, really does open up. It's a complete different experience. And the only thing I can really say is that just push yourself, chaps. Really, I suffered from a lot of anxiety when I came out of the army and stuff like that. And, you know, meeting new people and stuff was something that I was like, oh, you know, I'm a bit nervous about this. But once I pushed myself to do this kind of thing, it really, really helped me. And now, you know, I can just bloody talk for days. You can't actually get me to shut up when I'm in a room talking to 40k people. I would also recommend research places around your area. So for me, who lives in Manchester, I have Element Games, which is in Stockport. I have the Forge, which is basically next to the Trafford Centre. I have a lot of local places where I can just jump in my car and go down to. Some of my friends as well are local around Manchester. I have friends from Leeds. I have people actually just, you know, just on the boundaries of Manchester. So when we come to organise our games, we can pick one of them shops to go to and actually play. But if you actually just want to research it yourself, you can go on like Facebook and stuff. Most of these shops will have a Facebook page where they post, hey, this week we're doing like a 40k event, you know, bring such and such, 500 points, 1,000 points, everything like that. And Warhammer World itself is an absolutely fantastic venue to go and game in. I would always recommend to someone who's getting into the hobby, go down to Warhammer World if you can. Just being there is like the mecca of Warhammer 40,000, of like Warhammer or the hobby itself. All the gaming hall, Bugman's, the little display area where you can go around and look at all these awesome models and everything like that. But they also host like awesome events there as well. You know, 2v2 events, tournament events. Hopefully in upcoming with 9th edition, they'll be hosting some Crusader events, everything like that. But social media is a way to connect and go out there and actually find different places for you to game in. Just to finish this part of the video and the actual video itself, I just want to say it is scary. It really, really is scary getting out there, doing it, hobbying, painting, choosing your army, everything like that. But we as a 40k community is that we are a community. We're here for each other. We're here to help each other. If you have any problems, just ask. If you've got any problems, you know, post it in this video comment. I'll try and help out. If you're really stuck, you need advice, come over to my Discord, DM me on Discord, ask any questions, Facebook, Twitter, anything like that. If I can, and as soon as I can, should I say, I will try and get back to you and give you that advice and help you out on picking an army, on, you know, a colour scheme or anything like that. I really am. I'm here to help, and a lot of people in the community are the same as well. They're here to help better you, to get you out there and purge in the Emperor's glorious name. The final line I'm going to say is that enjoy yourself. This whole experience is designed to be a fun experience from start to finish. We're here to have fun. We're here to throw dice and enjoy ourselves. So please, guys, that is the main thing to take away from this, is have fun and enjoy yourself. All right, Chaparinios, that is me done for another video. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. As always, please, if you have any advice, post it down below. I want like this video to be like a beacon of people getting into the new hobby, and you know, we post all advice in there, like what you did and what you did wrong, what you did right, how you improve yourself. Post it all down below. We can have a nice little fun discussion down there, as we always do. Thank you for watching my video once more. Have a great day. See you now, and bye bye.